Hello, everybody. It's Fabienne, and I'm so happy that you could join me and join Donna, who is here to inspire you as she is on her journey to a million in her business. And Donna, would you just take the next couple of seconds and just share what your business is and where you were? It's not even been a year since we've been on this journey together. You joined in May, and take us back to May. And what was your business like? So tell us about your business, and then what it was like back then.
Yeah, certainly. So I am a financial planner and I have a niche or niche market, however you say it, with financial planning for families in transition. So a specialty on widowhood, divorce, blended families. And I got to that point in my life because 10 years earlier, I had lost my husband, Greg, back when I was 40, flipped my career upside down on its head and said, okay, if I got to go back into this workplace full time, I'm going to do it with a mission. I'm going to do it with something that means so much and adds value to this earth. And because I had just gone through widowhood and experienced that, I had the degree in finances. This is what I did. And really and truthfully, about 3 years, I think it was 2020, I launched and opened my own practice. So we call it hanging your own shingle. And you were just running with the momentum of it, right? So in 2020, I got it all together, I'm a sole practitioner, and I made it work. Like, here we go. And then the practice started to grow. Like, I wrote a book and I was out there and I always knew the value of coaching. When I'm a statistician by nature, right? So I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know how to publish a book. So I found somebody who knew how, right? So it's who, not how. And then just kept on going. And so when I got to the point of growth where there wasn't enough me to go around with my clients, I knew that whatever got me to this point wasn't going to get me to the next point. So I had to back up and move away from financial planning and put the hat on of business owner. Didn't really know the best steps. So you surround yourself with people that do what you don't know how. So I went to the people that I respected as business owners and I was like, who has coached you? And Fabienne, your name just kept coming up. So I became like the stalker on Instagram and out there and signing up for the free courses and interviewing people. And I was like, this is where I need to be. And jumped right in before I had the funding available because I kind of knew I couldn't get to that next spot without, and quickly was able to make some changes to make the value of signing up for 2 years, like upfront being like, and that's unlike the financial planner in me to make a 2-year commitment on anything if I don't know it quote unquote works. But I had belief in the program that 1 year would teach me, the second year I could implement. So that's where we're at 6 months in and thrilled. Thanks.
So, oh my gosh, there's so much we could dive into in just that. And I just, even before we get in, I really want to appreciate that you did your due diligence, that you binged and you stalked me in the program and you talked to all the people and you asked the people around you. This says a lot about your commitment to your growth and also like making educated decisions and educated investments. And I think it's really important that you shared that because sometimes people don't go through and read everything. And, I can send a lot of emails, I can do a lot of events, but if people don't show up, they don't get to see what's possible for them. So thank you for that. So let's go back to before May. Were you overworking? Were you working evenings or weekends? What was not working specifically?
Yeah. So if we go to May of this year, business was good, right? And we were doing what we needed to. So I say we. I got remarried the year before. My husband Jim came into my practice, and so he was the admin extraordinaire, right? And I was doing the financial planning, and he was the contact with the clients, right? But he comes from a blue collar background. He's a carpenter by trade. So here's my sweet husband wanting to support my business. We're jumping into it together. He's learning how to do Excel. Unhappy about it. But I know he knows the systems. He keeps me organized. He keeps running. And I know we need to repurpose him more back to our family. Right. And so how do I either do it on my own? I would have to go back in and learn the systems that Jim put in place, or hire somebody else. And so we were at a real turning point with our family as well as my practice, because they all become one. My practice isn't just my business. It is, how do I wake up in the morning? It's, how does my family get supported through my practice? It's everything to us, especially having my husband in there. So that was a big part of, how do I systematize before he goes, right? And is he definitely going? What role does he have to play? And who else do I need to bring in for support? I had never hired before, right? If you listen to it, it's my husband. I trusted him. I knew his personality. Easy hire, right? But did I put him in the right spot? Which I will. I'm going to give away the story. As we started working through, he was not in the right spot, right? And he is now living his best life and playing the role to support my business without an Excel spreadsheet. Right. So when your husband just tells you, oh yeah, I hate it. You're like, oh my gosh, I want you happy. He's like, I'm happy seeing you supported. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I remember when we started talking about that, and for me, I found that my husband runs my business with me. And that was really great for him, but it's not great for everybody. And you made some courageous, bold moves to just even open up the conversation and talk about it within the program. And we realized that the best leverage is to have your husband do what makes his heart sing. And it wasn't necessarily to work with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he's still here. He's in charge of speaking engagements and advertisements, but he's no longer like doing paperwork. He's no longer in Excel, and he's awesome at it. Right.
Yeah.
And until you start taking like Colby strengths and trying to figure out that next match, it's when I'm a math person, right? So when you see the results on paper and you're like, wow, the role he's playing does not align with who he is. That's the evidence you needed, as well as the support through our conversation to say, bud, do you want to step back? It makes a difference. It does.
Yeah. I think that when we're in an issue like that and we're in isolation, maybe we'll keep doing something for a long time, not realizing that it's not necessarily working. So I just love that you had that kind of support within the structure of, all the assessments we use and everything like that. So thumbs up with that. What have you experienced, understanding that this is a 2-year program, and some people gasp and say, are you kidding? It's a 2-year. You can do 1 year if you want, but the whole recipe is in 2 years, and people appreciate, being able to unpack their bags and stay a while. So you're in the beginning year, but what's happened so far as a result of being in the Leveraged Business Program?
Yeah, definitely. So to your point before, was I working weekends and nights? And was I doing 60 to 80 hour weeks, even with my gym and my practice? Most definitely. Was I recreating the wheel with each and every email? I was, right? So for me, the very first, activator that I took part in was making sure that I could have standard operating procedures, right? So to collect that information from Jim before he stepped away. So one, I could train someone else on it. And so that I knew as a business owner how it runs, right? I had gotten so far away that Jim was running it that I didn't know how it ran anymore. So we really pulled that together. And then we decided, what can we duplicate, right? What can become an email template? What can become a video of me, right? What can I have someone else, maybe the next hire, take from me? And with that, my hours started to open up. So it was a lot of work in the beginning because we had to create those, right? They were in Jim's head. We had to pull them out, right? We had to put them into Asana or put them into a Google Doc. And we had to create the videos. So it's almost like I had to spend more time to spend less, but that was okay. It felt purifying. And the second one that was really big too was tracking my time. Really, where was I spending my time? Where is my brilliance? What is not, right? And what does that next hire have to pick up and run? And what does their talent have to look like to pick it up and run with it? I needed someone very different from me underneath my practice. I really did. With that, time blocking, right? Blocking Monday mornings, blocking Fridays to work on my business, Mondays to work in my business, only seeing clients Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and getting my hands on my calendar. The next hire took over my calendar. And she comes into my office. She's local, but she works virtually. And she'll be like, get your hands out of that calendar. She said that she's protecting me as a mommy. I have 6 kids, 13 to 22. And she's like, you're going to ruin your family structure. Get out of the calendar. You did it to yourself. So thank you, Fabienne.
I have chills, Donna. Like you did more in these 7 months than most people will ever do in their entire entrepreneurial career. You got control of your business. You delegated, you made the right shifts internally. You prioritized your growth by creating these times where non-negotiable times to grow your business. You started putting SOPs and systems and documentation. Like you realize that you're not even done with your first year. We're like another 6 months for your first year to be over, and you've implemented so much.
Feels good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I venture to say that if you were to speak to anybody who is at your stage of business, they haven't implemented even a quarter of the things you just shared with us. That is to be celebrated for sure. Um, so what is it about? I have so many questions for you. What is it about the program? Well, first, why did you join? Like, what, you did all your research, but did you say to yourself, like, it's, this methodology works, I'm going to sign up? Like, how is the process for you of saying yes?
I think one is talking to your onboarding team, right? So of course I'm an analytical person, so I had my list of questions, and I can tell you I wasn't even after my due diligence, I wasn't a straight out yes. I had to make sure because I only have so much time in my schedule for coaching too, right? So is this where I need to focus this year, right? Is it a specific financial advisor that I need to be a coach? Is it another writing coach? Is it a marketing coach? What is it? I needed the systems in place for my business, and I needed to have a belief system in the marketing of it. We are usually an industry that is word of mouth, right? Like someone's sister, someone's mom, the whole bit. But because I have a bigger scope with my niche market, I needed to be out there bigger. And it makes me happy to make sure that out on social media, I'm putting more information. So how is this the right fit and is it? So yes, talking to the onboarding team. And I can honestly tell you there was never a hard quote unquote sell. Your onboarding team just led me to the yes and would just check in here and there. And if I was having a bump in the road, they knew that I was having a bump in the road and they would check in. So I felt right there that your onboarding team welcomed me into the family. Mm-hmm. And who wouldn't want to feel that for 2 years? So that was a big part of it. And then saying, these are the goals I need to achieve myself, my practice. How can you get me there? And they were so well versed that they were able to say, this is the process and this is the activity. And this is how we use accountability. And this is how we use our members within the team, within Fabienne's group of leverage participants. This is how you help one another. That was the key. I had already known through business coaching that when you get that team together of other cohorts, that you're sharing the knowledge and you're cheerleaders for one another. You want to grow. And what have you used to blank? That was it. So that's when the yes button came. Yeah.
I have chills everywhere in hearing you, Donna, because so when I was growing my business, I'd reached 6 figures and I wanted to grow. I joined all these male masterminds because there were no, and even when there were female masterminds, they were so masculine and it just felt like everything was strong arming. And I created this container that we have to be more feminine, powerfully feminine, in the sense of having this incredible support network, so you talk about the onboarding being, I don't know what words you used, but it wasn't strong arming, right? It was like, we're going to take care of you and kind of love you along the way. And if it's a fit, great. And if it's not a fit, that's great too. But everything you're describing is what I love most, is understanding how women are wired to succeed. And it's not the same way as how men are wired to succeed. We have different needs. And so you're talking about like the really strategic things, but also the stuff that we don't usually talk about, which is to be surrounded by people who believe in us and to be championed and to have loving accountability. What are the aspects of the program that you resonate with the most, or that have helped you create these incredible results so far, and you're not even done with the first year? Do you know, like, which elements do you love most?
First, I love my accountability buddy, right? So my accountability buddy is over in Europe and I'm in Philadelphia, PA. But we're able through WhatsApp, like just to check in, right? And we're in completely different industries, but knowing that someone's your cheerleader, someone's asking you, did you get your top 3 done yesterday? Like things like that means so much. And when I see her pop up in a group call, I'm like, oh my God, that's mine. Hi. Right. So that's awesome.
You guys love each other, and like you're unapologetic about sharing it, and I think that is so incredible.
Yeah. And like when we are taught something and we can implement it and we're tracking one another just through a text, like, wow, that's fantastic. I will tell you the very first round of the morning prompts for like, what should you do for your day? Right. I used to print them and like write them all down and I have them in my binder, right? Cause that's how my mind works. Well, now like it's the first thing I do, but it goes into my personal planner. So it's not a separate planner. It's my day. And that's the first thing I do every day in the notes section. I do love, and I'm unapologetically is the word, when we have the 2-day breakouts and we have the leverage activator, when we are there and you're shutting off your emails. And I remember the very first one because I didn't have Fabienne's schedule worked into my plan, right? Because I had just signed up. So I had to like jump on, jump off, jump on, jump off. I don't do that anymore. I am in for the day. I look forward to it. It is blocked off. I even look forward to the Friday mornings when I work on my business because that's when I take those printouts, that activity, that group work that we pulled together for 2 days, and I'm fine tuning it and I'm launching it. So it's truly the activation that I have put into my schedule for working on my business on Fridays for 3 hours, quiet, not at home. I'm in the office. The blinds are actually down in the office. Nobody knows I'm here and I'm implementing. Like cell phone is in the hallway. I'm my own worst enemy with texting and checking in on the kids and being reactive. So that's, everyone knows that's my time, not to interrupt. So those would be the thing: accountability, daily acting, and then going into those quarterlies, but implementing them. You can put anything you want in a book and leave it there, but making that a living, breathing document and activating it. Yeah. Is that helpful?
Yeah, incredibly helpful, because everybody likes a different aspect. And we're always saying like the Leverage Business Program or just Bold Heart is a buffet, and you get to choose. It's like there's not one way to do this program well. There are people who really lean on the relationships. There are people who really lean on the accountability, on the meetings, on the strategy, the methodology. So great. Donna, what's possible for you at the end of this year, revenue wise?
Well, I did the money magnet that I know is just like an extra layer of bonus and success. But for me, that was really great because it was the end of the year, right? And that's when I'm planning for my next year in October. So I kind of already had my October plan for the year. And it was kickstarting it. I was like, well, let's see what I can get done. Let's see what I can get done in November and December, which are usually slower months for the industry because everyone's just busy, right? They're just busy. But being focused, that was fantastic. So I pretty much got my quarterly goal done in 45 days because of that intense focus. So where do I think it could be in revenue? I'm no longer happy with just saying, okay, this is what I need to cover what my work life is. This is what I need to go home and cover the mortgage, right? So this is my bare minimum. That doesn't come out of my mouth anymore. What comes out of my mouth is, this is where I want to go so I can expand this message. This is where I want to be so that I can take some time off and rejuvenate myself, be better at what I'm doing. This is what I need to be able to support team so that we can grow the comfort that my clients have, just not with me, but with my entire team. So that number is bigger, and that number is my new quote unquote minimum. knowing it's above and beyond the basics. That's really big. It's big. And I
Yes.
never backed into my numbers that way. I didn't. It was almost like a desperate feeling for numbers. And now it's a wonderful growth feeling. If I hit this, I get to do this. When I hit this, we
Yeah.
will do this. It's been a change.
The methodology is proven. It I've worked with tens of thousands of women over the last 23 years. We have honed this process. And as you say, as you know, I always say, just show up and follow the recipe. Just get in the kitchen with me. Let's follow the recipe and you're going to have the outcome that you want. And what I really feel from you is that you're plugging into the process and it's working, which is making you even more confident, which is working. And there's no way that you won't reach really big numbers by the end of this year and then going forward. Like, I feel like you've taken all the bold, hard stuff, Donna, and you've just put it into who you are. It's not what you do anymore. I'm hearing from you today that it's just like, this is how we do things around here. Period. This is who I am now. Do you resonate with my observation?
No, very much, because it's not a negotiable. I get to build the business that I want. I get to build the business that supports my clients. I get to build the business that's going to add growth and value to the lives of all these families in transition. Wow, the reward is in the growth, right? The money is fantastic because it helps me raise my kids, right? There's a lot of mouths to feed, right? A lot of kids to educate. And each one of those kids is someone else I'm putting on this planet to do great things. So this is what we're allowed to do with the strength of our business. And we are creating, my team now, since I started with Bold Heart, I now have two virtual, I have one virtual admin. I have another power planner who's like a mini me behind the scenes. I've never had that. So, and then I have Jim, like working on the back end things, and now a media person. So I have a team of 5 helping me where it was just me and my marketer guru, I would say, on the side, right? But now even she and I are driven more. So that's what it is. We're no longer saying, let's see if this works. We're saying this is how we're moving it. We will continue to improve, but this is our structure. There's no more negotiables. This is it. And we will continue to grow. We will continue to move. And we all have our roles to make it great. Where before it was literally just me and Jim trying to be my cheerleader from behind, trying to stay on top of new paperwork, right? That's not even an issue anymore.
Yeah. This is the fast track to a million. And I was just having a conversation earlier today saying, like, when I decided to become self-employed, I thought, if I could just make the 65,000 a year that I last made when I was working in corporate in a soul-sucking job, I'd be happy. And I'd never thought back then that I would be at $1 million a year and even multiple millions a year, but having more downtime, more enjoyment. Did you ever think you would be on this path to $1 million a year with just like deliciousness?
I can say no. I'll be very honest for the listeners. Like when I came into this business, I had what we call a big zero book of business, meaning no income. So I actually sat with my own financial planner and said, how long can I survive on my personal savings to make this work? So I had a money number, right? Like how much personal savings that I have put aside. And once that ran out, I needed either switch industries, switch a job, go back to a W-2 job or do something else. And I'm a girl when given a goal, like it's just, we just go, like we're just running. And so I knew that freedom of running your own business. I knew that freedom that allows you to add value to clients. I didn't want to be quote unquote W-2'd or restricted by that. So that's what pushed me. And so, yeah, I got to that number, right? And then the number gets a little bigger and then the number gets a little bigger because that's what I needed to do to keep growing, right? So now it's payroll, it's the whole bit. So no, in the beginning, did I ever think that this would make it? I was just trying to, that number my financial advisor gave me to make sure I could pay the mortgage and keep my kids in school and feed them, like maybe oodles of noodles every now and then, like not even healthy, right? Like how does that stand, right? We backed into that number, we made it, right? And then it became more than that, right? It wasn't just a job. Now it's a passion. Now it's a career. We give 10% of everything I bring home to, it's called Safe Harbor. It's a nonprofit that helps parents, kids, actually helps kids that have lost a parent or caregiver. That is the program that helped my kids get on their own 2 feet after they lost their dad. We had just moved back from living abroad. Like, they were just speaking English in schools. They needed that. So 10% of everything Jim and I make goes straight to them. That's driving, right? So I don't have the time to go teach a class. I don't have a time to do grief recovery for them, but I can certainly support them financially by doing this wonderful work. So backing into it, never thought. And now it's wonderful. Crazy.
Yeah. And you know, I study history, the history of women, and when women make their own money and lots of it, they own themselves. And women have not owned themselves for tens of thousands of years. So being an entrepreneur, being a successful entrepreneur who is female, like acting female, like putting our priorities first, like, I don't need a fourth Lamborghini in the garage to be happy. No, I want to take care of my kids. I want to give back to the I don't want to say charity, but the entity that helped me get on my feet. Everything you're saying is everything I stand for. It's like giving women a voice and a choice and being able to live their life their way. And you are an incredible example of that, Donna. And I know the best is yet to come because you're still on the first few squares of the journey. But I would say, I would like to ask one final question is, imagine that there's a woman right now who is in the before of your current before and after story, because you've got a lot more to go. And she's perhaps working the 60 to 80 hour weeks and perhaps not paying herself enough. But there's no choice. Like, she has to figure out a way to grow. What advice would you give to that woman who is in your before?
There is a choice, right? And you have to take that next best step to make it happen. If you stay where you are, nothing is going to change and you will run out of you. So take that next best step, put these systems in place, learn from the people that have been there ahead of us, right? And they can help slow the roll. They can help so that we don't step into some of these potholes. There's a program, right? And it can be the solution to how to do it best. So you might be there for a little bit longer, right? 60 to 80 weeks, you might be there, but you can't stay there. And when you start to feel how it can work differently, your opportunities in life increase. And that's what I've learned too. First time ever, I took time off between Christmas and New Year's. When I say ever, in 7 years since I've been on my own. That was amazing, right? To sit there and have a whole day to make pierogies with my kids. It's a memory that I can never lose. That is because I freed up time. That's because I have systems in place working while I'm not. That's why. So take
I'll never think about pierogies in the same way.
It's a marathon, 10 to 10. Wow.
Wow. But this is for us women. This is what matters. Like I said, it's not about all the stuff we can buy. Yeah, sure, we'll buy stuff, right? But it's about the memories we create with the people we love. You can't ever take that away from us. And growing a business can mean more pierogies. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, more deliciousness of meaning and fulfillment. That's what it comes down to. That is what it comes down to. Thank you, Donna, for being an incredible example of tenacity, but enveloped in like this feminine approach for your vulnerability and authenticity and inspiration today. I know that there's a woman listening to this who will point to this moment as that was my deciding, that was the line in the sand when I chose to take care of my future and control my destiny. So thank you for that, Donna, and thank you for sharing yourself and your inspiring story.
Thank you, Fabienne. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you and your team for helping me make all of this happen. Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.